Coloring crypto.
I hope you enjoyed our last episode with Jackson Palmer, the creator of Dogecoin. That was one of our most listened to episodes of all time. Anyway, check out our first episode if you've got folks that want to be included in the future Coloring Crypto episode on the story of Dogecoin. Let us know on Twitter. Today we've got Rahul Sood. We're sort of the same age, except when I was starting college, he was selling his first company, Voodoo PC, to HP. And while I start with a question, right to the point about Rahul's understanding and passion about cryptocurrency, the first half is a lot about UNIKRN, combining gambling and esports, this hugely growing industry now with the blockchain. So interesting stuff in the beginning about UNIKRN and their token, their approach. And then the second half, we get into kind of more philosophical things. Rahul's been on the news making some bold statements about, the future price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but also about the impact and the disruptive potential of cryptocurrency and the blockchain in general with, major industries like the banks and financial institutions. But it's nice to hear someone just kind of make a bold claim that a major industry that is ripe for disruption should be quaking in its boots. So welcome to Coloring Crypto. Rahul, you've got maybe the longest tech background of the guests we've had so far. In 91, founding your company, Voodoo PC.
Saying that I'm old. No, I'm down with that. Okay, I'm old. That's fine.
I'm old too, man. I also grew up in Seattle and saw you're a Seahawks fan. And I was getting into tech back in the 90s as well. I want to ask you, what was the first time you ever heard of cryptocurrency and the blockchain, and sort of tell the story, like the arc of first hearing about it to when it really clicked in for you to how huge this was going to be?
The first time I heard about it was, 2011, 2012. And I think watching Bitcoin's value cross gold's value. And then, and that was just astounding to me. And then, I remember when it crashed again and, things were sort of quote unquote back to normal where, Bitcoin, I think it had gone to like $900 and it crashed down again. And then I just saw it float around, around the $200 range for a while. It was fascinating to me. And, I started looking into it then because at the time I was heavy into gaming and, the PC space and the tech space. I was still a little kind of skeptical about where it was going. And until I really started to understand how the gold market trades. The gold market is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, and Bitcoin is like, I really believe it. I love the, when I heard the Winklevoss twins talk about it being sort of, gold 2.0, I completely agree with them on it. I think it's pretty fascinating.
Were you actually invested in it back in 2011, 2012 when you first heard about it?
Yeah. So very small amount, like nothing to write home about, nothing to sort of, brag about. But I was trying mining, like, at the time I was sort of thinking about like, what could it be from, because I had built a really great PC business, PC company that built high-end gaming PCs, what could it be to do something in the mining space? And I was just sort of, trying different things. And I had just joined Microsoft and started Microsoft Ventures. And, one of the areas that we would do, or, my team would do, was we were looking for, emerging trends. And crypto was sort of on the radar, but it wasn't, at the point where we were ready to take it on. So we were looking at things like in fintech and gaming and AR, VR at the time. And crypto was just something on the radar. So it was sort of more of a hobby thing for me.
So if I was to ask you, in 2011, 2012, what was a big company like Microsoft's take on cryptocurrency? Would that be sort of like asking you what your take was at that time, or were there other parts of that organization that were kind of taking it seriously?
I hate to say it, but even at the time when I started UNIKRN in 2014, people at Microsoft, I mean, there might have been one or two people that knew esports was a thing. Yet, there's hundreds of millions of fans around the world, and most of the people that are playing on esports are doing it on Windows or Xbox. Like they're doing it on a Microsoft platform, but Microsoft knew nothing about it. I think that the biggest discovery that Microsoft had in cryptocurrency was, after Bittrex. I don't know if you heard this story, but when Bittrex first started, ex Microsoft employees. Then I think Bill moved over to RIM to work for a while, or what we call BlackBerry, and then he started Bittrex, and he got on the BizSpark program, which at Microsoft is basically a program where we would give people free cloud, like free Azure cloud. And so he had like a credit of $360,000 of Azure. And nobody knew what this company was or what they did, but it wasn't long until Bittrex became the largest fintech company on Microsoft Azure, and they blew through that credit. And so I think that's when when it really hit the radar, when Bittrex blew up.
That's a pretty hugely generous $350,000 of credit. That's a pretty generous. And
what's funny is when Bittrex first got on that, they thought that they would never run through that credit. They thought it would last forever, and I think it's a testament to that program. I mean, that one company basically paid for every single startup that's ever been on Azure, just by becoming a hit. It's a pretty incredible thing to see what happened in the last couple of years.
Man, not to get too tangential, but with these startup accelerator programs, and these companies will kind of come in and give credits to try to incent these startups to get on their platform and use their platform. Do you think that paid off in that case for Microsoft? Like, they're not getting equity, right? Or they're just kind of getting buy-in on their platform?
I would say Microsoft Ventures was one of the most successful things, for Microsoft. Even when I was there, we invested very little in startups, but we would spread our reach quite a bit. The idea wasn't about making a return on the investment. The idea was helping Microsoft's largest customers innovate. So, imagine if there was an opportunity to connect Bank of America to Bittrex or something like that, or connect some smart home company to Lowe's as a means to go to market. That was sort of the vision, to create it as an innovation platform for Microsoft, and it worked really well. I mean, the last time I checked, so about a year after I left, I looked at the entire portfolio value, and it was worth $4.5 billion, and that's mainly because of China. Mainly because of China. The IPO market in China was nuts. The market is frothy. So yeah, it was pretty successful. I think for other, big corporates to do it, like Pepsi or something like that, I think it's kind of weird, to have a Pepsi accelerator, but Microsoft is pretty broad. So it was a lot of fun. I just got bored. Like, honestly, it was a dream job. It was like being an entrepreneur inside of a big company, but I'm the kind of person that likes to be on fire all the time. And I just couldn't do it anymore after it was a running machine. I wanted to get out and get back into gaming. So.
How are you feeling now? You're what 2.5 years into UNIKRN?
It's a little over 3 years now.
Okay.
I have to say this is like probably the most exciting time of my lifetime career. When I think about the peak of my career when I was at Microsoft, it was when I sold Voodoo to HP. I mean, I have never been so excited about what's happening. And I started this thing a little over 3 years ago with one of my best friends and business partners who had a company that was funded by Microsoft Ventures. And, we just clicked. I mean, I love to play video games. He loves to play video games. He's from Australia. And it's a culture where people like to bet on pretty much everything. And, they bet on everything from sports to, celebrity actions, politics, all sorts of stuff. And, we just said esports is growing. It's, there's hundreds of millions of fans. We think it's going to be one of the biggest sports. It's the fastest growing sport right now. It'll probably be the biggest sport in the future. And we thought, well, what a way to combine, two really interesting areas, betting and video games, So
I like that. I was going to ask to give the listeners some context that aren't aware what UNIKRN is. Yeah, you're combining what is probably the fastest emerging online, or it's one of the fastest online industries in esports, as far as I know, with what's probably one of the oldest hobbies of mankind, with gambling. I imagine,
and sort of sports too. So we're sort of at the intersection of sports, video games, and gambling, right? And it's kind of a modern take of the future. Let's put crypto aside for a moment, because right. UNIKRN is sort of at the cutting edge of crypto and esports, right? Which are two of the most mind-bending industries and fastest growing industries in the world. But talk about esports and why it's becoming relevant. If you look at the median age of a Major League Baseball fan, it's about 55 years old now. The median age of a PGA Tour fan is about 70 years old.
Is it really?
It's 70. So
Wow.
like imagine, every day a PGA Tour fan and a Major League Baseball fan has a heart attack, and there's like 4 esports fans that are born because kids start playing video games at a very young age, and they continue to play games, throughout their life. I mean, I'm in my early 40s and I play games every day. So since it's become sort of a spectator thing, to watch and not just to play, it's completely gotten out of control.
I really didn't get it. And then about a year ago, I worked on a commercial, did projection mapping up in Seattle for Amazon for their Kindle. And they were promoting all these, it was the Mobile Masters Tour. It was an esports event. And there was not just like these kids walking around that would tell me they were making like over 6 figures. These were the esports celebrities, but there was their agents, and these agents were all hanging out on the set. I just couldn't believe how huge this thing was. Give folks, who if somebody, is a not a avid gamer, but they're just sort of curious about this, what would they go to on UNIKRN to kind of like have an easy approach to kind of understanding what this is all about without getting overwhelmed by this sort of totally new culture?
The first thing I always say is most people who don't get this space are people that don't have kids or don't spend a lot of time looking at what their kids are up to online. The space is interesting because esports is it's sort of like a place where you can either play and be a participant, or you can watch. It's sort of like Little League, basketball or football or something versus the NBA or the NFL, but it's way more accessible because professional players in this space can be 16 years old or 15 years old, and they can practice and watch this stuff at home. If you go to news.unikrn.com, you can get a good idea of what's actually happening. Our company is kind of like Disneyland for esports. We create the first thing is we have this kind of ESPN style way of creating content. We do video content, we do written content around esports and what's happening in the industry. That also covers crypto as well. But we have these studios where we build content. We run tournaments. So we actually run tournaments inside of casinos like the MGM Grand we just signed a deal with, and we're running weekly tournaments in their space. We have online tournaments. We actually have team ownership, so we're a pretty significant stakeholder in the hottest CS:GO team in Germany, which may not sound like a big deal, except that 1 in 5 Germans watch esports, and these guys are the most popular team in the country. So we have team ownership, and then the last and probably the most important part of our offering is our sports book and our odds creation. So we have the ability to put odds on teams winning. As a spectator, you can watch games and you can place bets, or even on individuals. If you're somebody who wants to place a bet on themselves, you can do that. And at the center of all of this is our token economy. So it's hard to explain unless you experience it. I would suggest people go to YouTube and Google the League of Legends finale in Beijing from 2017, just to get an idea of how insane this is. They filled the stadium. They had a CGI dragon flying throughout the stadium. They had an opening ceremonies that was probably like the Olympics, and it was a complete mob. The place was amazing. Have you been to Vegas lately?
I haven't. It's probably been 4 or 5 years since I've been there.
Let me paint you a picture. First of all, there's more people going to Vegas now than ever in the history of Las Vegas. Vegas is becoming, so in the past, it was heavily dependent just on the Strip. Vegas basically fell apart. Real estate values were depressed. If you're in Vegas, you either work on the Strip as a dealer, a waitress, or whatever, right? A dancer or something like that. Or you're a casino owner or a professional. You're a doctor or a lawyer. There wasn't really an industry there other than gambling. Now they're just doing an amazing job. They've got the Raiders coming in. They're building a new stadium. They have an amazing hockey team. If you watch hockey, the Golden Knights are super popular. They have a Major League Soccer team coming. They have a women's volleyball team and a women's basketball team. There are rumors that they're getting a basketball team, like an actual NBA team. So they're just going hard into sports. And there's only 5,000 houses for sale there. And so I think real estate values are going to blow up. But in the meantime, if you walk through the casinos where, the bread and butter is, most of the revenue is in entertainment. And if you go through the slot area, which is, the hottest area in the casino, typically in the past, They're doing everything they can to retheme those slot machines so young people get interested. So in the past, it used to be just like a bar, you pull the machine and a bunch of cherries and bananas would show up. Now they have Britney Spears, Pitbull, all that stuff, on these machines trying to get young people in. But there's still more wheelchairs and walkers per square foot than anywhere else in Vegas. And there's like 150-year-olds using these machines. So they're kind of in trouble, from the standpoint that their gaming revenues are going down. So our approach is, look, UNIKRN is the best at this. We can help create events inside your space, and then we can put a sports book around it and like wrap some really fun, betting options around it as well. And then when you couple in, our crypto, which we're probably going to get into soon, using it as a way to incent people to come to the events, potential buy-ins, prizes. Like there's just so many things, so much possibility with UNIKRN Gold in this space. They're all waking up now. They're like, wow, who are these guys?
Can you just give us a quick sense of, I know you guys did an ICO at the end of last year. Give us a quick summary of kind of like what that structure is like in terms of how you brought the blockchain and cryptocurrency to an esports gambling platform.
Unlike most of the ICOs out there or like existing businesses that want to ICO, we didn't just say, how can we ICO to raise money? We didn't need the money. About 2 years ago, our investors and probably one of the more vocal investors reached out to me and said, you guys need to start looking at blockchain technology, for scaling your business, because we were having challenges dealing with banks. Quite frankly, opening accounts across Europe with multiple currencies. We just got our Malta license for Europe, to do real money betting. We recently announced that. And 2 years ago, we were planning this. It took 2 years to work with banks to get set up. He said, you guys got to start looking at blockchain because blockchain is going to disrupt the whole banking system. So we're like, oh, okay. So we started looking at it. We usually take what he says pretty seriously. And then we realized when you really look at what blockchain is, from a regulated business standpoint, it's the best. It's the best underlying technology that you can build on, because when it comes to things like in our space, in a highly regulated industry, things like AML, which is like anti-money laundering, or KYC, know your customer, you cannot find a better way to have full transparency, trust, and security with your customer than through blockchain. So we started building our backend on blockchain. And at that time, we had already created the UNIKRN. This is before Ethereum was around. We started to we created the UNIKRN as a token that was not meant to be transferred, that was an internal token, couldn't be sold, couldn't be bought, it could only be earned. And the reason we created the UNIKRN was Korea and China and like the US that wanted to use our platform for fun, but couldn't do it because it was only real money betting. So we created the UNIKRN as a way for them to engage the platform, and for us to say, hey, this next market looks interesting. We have a ton of users in Korea. Maybe we should look to, find a way to get a license there or something. But we had no idea that the UNIKRN would blow up the way it did. It helped us kind of gauge out new markets and things like that. And in the meantime, it just got really popular. And since we were already building on blockchain, we pulled our customers and said, hey, we know you're all asking for more usage for the UNIKRN. How do you feel about crypto? And we asked them, do you have wallets? Are you familiar? This and that. Over 70% of our customers either had a wallet or were familiar with crypto and traded crypto. So Wow. It was like, this is like an easy decision for us, because not only do our customers use the stuff, but they're young, they're tech savvy. We already have the UNIKRN out there. Let's go make this happen. So we created UNIKRN Gold, which is our cryptocurrency. And then we took the old UNIKRN, the free one, and called it UNIKRN Silver. We had a very successful token sale. Most of the people that bought were customers, users, which is great. And I think we sold about 127 million tokens. We, at the time, it was around 112,000 Ethereum. As I said, we didn't really need the cash, so we haven't really been, selling our crypto. We've just been, building our book and generating new users. We created in the last 2 years a full grounds up token selling platform and blockchain, which is designed for a heavily regulated business like ours. And then we also created our own internal blockchain to handle transactions. It's called UNIKRN Wallet. And the reason we did that is because when you bet, like if you're watching a game and you bet, you want to place, sometimes 10, 20 bets on a single match on what's happening in the game. But through blockchain, it's very slow, as you know, and there's also, transaction fees, gas fees. So we created our own internal blockchain, which eliminates all the transaction fees, and it lets you do bets within seconds, like microseconds.
You created Unicoin Silver, which is still existing, and that's the non-crypto, non-blockchain internal token. And then you have Unicoin Gold, and that's an actual live cryptocurrency.
Yes, we did that. And when people connect and there's utility on both tokens. So when people connect their Steam account or their Riot account to our platform, or their Rocket League account, and many other games coming, they can earn both Unicoins. They earn both silver and gold. Gamers who buy skins, which are virtual items that have actual value. I don't know if you play games, but to give you an idea, some skins can sell for $10. Some skins sell for hundreds of dollars. Some sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Like there was one that went up for auction last week that went for $60,000. And so what happens is you get all these gamers that have a bunch of skins that want to cash them in, and we made an engine that's a skin trading engine, so people can come to UNIKRN, and rather than waiting for somebody to buy their skin, they can just offer it to us. We'll look at the market value, we'll apply a discount to it, we'll say here's your UKG, and then we get the skin and we put it into our jackpot system. And our jackpots are very popular. So people can then use UKG or Unicoin Gold and Unicoin Silver to participate in jackpots and win more skins. And then if you're in any market where there's not regulated gambling, you can bet with Unicoin Silver. And in the future, you'll be able to bet with Unicoin Gold. So.
And can you exchange Unicoin Silver for Unicoin Gold, or are they completely separate?
You can't do that, but you can win Unicoin Gold with Unicoin Silver. You just can't exchange it.
And that's just a regulatory thing.
Exactly. We are looking at it, though. We're looking at ways that potentially Unicoin Silver could be exchanged, but right now we're just not there yet. I will say this: pretty massive announcement coming out. This thing will be ready. This podcast will be out on the weekend, so I can tell you about it. So on Thursday, we're announcing. So UNIKRN has a Malta license, which is one of the hardest licenses in the world to get for real money betting, and it applies to about 80% of Europe. Tomorrow, we're announcing that the Malta MGA, or the Gaming Authority, is working with us on a crypto betting license. We'll be the first, with crypto betting enabled in across Europe. Sometime in, I would guess, around the April timeframe. Pretty big news because it's never been done before. No one has done legal, crypto betting before, and the fact that we're the first to do it is a significant deal. So. And so,
wait, this is just all of Europe, or does this also include everywhere else?
Malta covers most of Europe. Other jurisdictions tend to follow Malta. So what'll happen now is we'll approach other jurisdictions with the platform that we're building. We're already going through the sandbox in Malta to make this happen, and it'll be pretty easy for us to kind of templatize it for other jurisdictions.
That's awesome! Congratulations.
In crypto, there's two camps really. There's the full decentralized camp, anti-government thing. And then there's a centralized camp, which is, you gotta embrace regulation. UNIKRN's sort of on both sides. Like we have a decentralized part of our platform, we have a centralized part. That I like to do is disrupt, industries, disrupt banking, disrupt gambling. I mean, having to deal with banks is shitty, but you can't do illegal stuff. I mean, jail sucks. And trying to use crypto or blockchain as a way to avoid regulation in gambling is a really bad idea, because it's not sustainable. It won't work. The ICOs will die. And, I think you have to embrace regulation in order to make crypto what it could be. Look, at the end of the day, the Bitcoin market, it is somewhere between 300 billion and maybe 500 billion market cap, something like that. Let's call it like 350. The gold market is 7 trillion, which is kind of a joke because, Bitcoin is limited. Bitcoin is transparent. Nobody knows how much gold is out there. And I think if anybody calls in their paper trades on gold, the whole gold market is gonna collapse like the Ponzi scheme that it is, right? In order for Bitcoin to go up, regulation needs to be embraced. So I think companies like us working on a regulated platform is actually good for the industry.
I love it. I also heard you on a news show maybe a month ago. It's a bold statement, that the banking industry is in trouble. In doing this podcast, when I've asked people, why aren't the banks more afraid Give us kind of your take on the banks have some of the biggest lobbyists in the world. What's your prediction for the sort of like existing bank institutions?
My prediction is that the first major institution to embrace crypto and blockchain like fully and just say, we're going to make it easy for you to bank with this stuff, and we're going to make it easy for you to, open up wallets and manage transactions and things like that. I would anticipate it would be somebody like Goldman Sachs or something like that. I think you need a big bank to come in and just do it, take the first step. I think anybody who's not looking at it or who's dismissing it or publicly disparaging it, that sort of thing, they're either not ready for it or they're scared shitless of it, and they don't know what to do to kind of solve it.
If you were to get a phone call from, like, let's say the CEO of Bank of America, and they were to say, what can we do to get ahead of this? What would you advise them?
It's so funny you asked that question. I got to tell you a story. So
did it happen?
So when I was at Microsoft, we used to have these roundtables with big companies, right? And what we would do is we would invite a certain big company in, a certain bank, or major industry, and we'd say, hey, we're going to bring in a bunch of startups, and we're going to have them pitch to you, and how they can help you with your business and this sort of thing. The CEO of a major bank called us, a major American bank, called us and said, look, we want to invite you and a bunch of entrepreneurs to our bank or to our head office to talk about our banks. Exactly what are you trying to solve here? Like, what are you trying to do? Because what I would say is, let's find a bunch of interesting fintech companies, bring them out and have them pitch to you. But his suggestion was, no, we have bigger problems. We have these branches that we spend, hundreds of millions of dollars on, and they're empty.
Yeah.
And we want to get people into our branches. So
and they're usually great real estate, and they've got great furniture, and
exactly. So my thing was, look, if I bring a bunch of entrepreneurs in here and you tell them that problem, they're just going to laugh at you, and this isn't going to go over well. He said, no, we want to do it. So I said, okay, we'll do it. So we did, and I warned people ahead of time that this could be interesting. And so the first entrepreneur stood up after the guy gave the speech, say, we want to have you guys help us bring more people into our branches. So the guy stood up and says, yeah, I have an idea. He said, what? He goes, blow up the banks and turn them into a Starbucks and fuck off. I'm going home. And the guy walked out of the room, and that was.
And everybody cheers. Everybody's like, yeah.
I was like, yeah. So it was embarrassing as all heck, and I knew it was going to be like that. But they just don't know what to do. I mean, they have so much money, they're spending it in all the wrong places. And I do believe there's a dark horse somewhere with a ton of money that's buying up crypto as much as possible and are preparing for something much bigger.
I think if the banks do go down like that, I think they're not making a lot of friends out there, They have
to worry about, certain things. Obviously, things like AML and KYC are important, anti-sanctions, stuff like that. But when you have a company like us that's actually built a platform to manage all of that, we even did things like anti-sanction bouncing and things that, normal people in this space don't think about. Typically, an ICO is held with a generic smart contract where you can anonymously deposit Ethereum into a wallet and get tokens back. That's just not going to fly. Like you can't do that because no one will bank with you now. You won't be listed on major exchanges. That has to change. And I think if smart people in this industry go and speak to regulators, speak to the SEC, speak to banks, we can actually help make a positive impact on the space rather than thumbing our noses or giving the finger to them. You just can't do that because there's going to be some good banks out there that realize there's problems in this space. And to me, the biggest problems is making it easy. So, just to sort of go back to the point that I was making before about our customers, how I said we pulled our customers first?
Right.
We did that because we knew that the space is complex. You guys have tried to open wallets and have bought Ethereum and, go to Coinbase, buy your Ethereum, go to Bittrex, deposit. Like it's a nightmare.
Yep.
And then, securing it and all that is a problem. So companies need to make it easy because I've had at least 200 ICOs approach me over the last couple months saying, will you advise us and, we'll give you a bunch of free tokens. The answer has always been no. But I had this one really interesting, well, I wouldn't even say interesting, this kind of a joke of an ICO approach me who's doing a token for a retirement community, like really, really just dumb idea. He wants to create a token, have it as an ecosystem where these 80-year-olds can go and live and transfer and all this stuff. I said, man, have you ever bought this shit before? Like, do you even have technical people on your team? And I just started quizzing him about it because nobody is going to be able to do it. You can't use it. So we got to change that.
No, but as you described that, I just got a great visual of a nursing home with like their iPads and just a group of them trying to figure out how to buy this stuff. Yeah.
That's right. What's your address again?
Yeah.
So
the whole idea of decentralization and then having banks come in and try to control it. I mean, you're talking about regulation and that kind of stuff. What would you tell a bank that was willing to listen? Where they're realizing that they're not going to fill up their branches, but they've got to figure out some kind of like blockchain solution. Would it be kind of like an auditing thing where it would allow customers to have transparency in terms of how they moved money around, or what would you see be the kind of the best implementation of some kind of blockchain solution for big banks?
I think they should actually start with a deposit system. Let's allow people to transact in crypto and deposit in our banks, right? I mean, how awesome would it be to be able to deposit your crypto in an institution? Now, I know a lot of the thing about there's going to be a lot of purists out there who say, no, I like crypto because I can bank it myself. Well, it's not fun banking hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto. If you're a big business or a hedge fund or something like that, you need that institution. If you're an individual who wants to keep their wallet in their paper wallet somewhere in their house, I mean, go for it. But the future in this space is not sustainable without some sort of safety and security institution. So I think they should start with something small like that, and then go from there.
You also, on that same news broadcast, were very bold about the price of Bitcoin. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it was like a week or two before you said it would likely go to $25,000 this year. It was a week before kind of that correction. Are you still as bullish with the price of Bitcoin?
100% I'm bullish about it. I mean, the last 7 corrections have been pretty similar, and people, you always see the same thing. There's a lot of immaturity, first of all, in this space. It drives me crazy when I see Bitcoin people flashing money and going to nightclubs and having the women come out with the sparklers and like all that stuff, Bitcoin, BTC, pictures of themselves, big party, because you're everything wrong with money. But at the same time, you've also got the people that that say, I told you so, this thing sucks, it's going to crash, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi every time it comes down. So it's this like weird thing. It's like those who believe in it and those who say, I told you so. I just have to say, to the I told you so people, I would say, do a little reading, try and understand why the value is there. It is not a Ponzi scheme. Like Bitcoin obviously is the leading indicator for the market. Nothing can go up vertically for forever. It's got to come down, it's got to correct, it's got to consolidate, then it's got to go back up again. And at the same time, the people that are sort of making money in the space should actually take a little bit more humble approach to it and really think about the optics of what they're doing and what that means for the industry, because you kind of you make us all look like douchebags. Then on top of that, you have Bitcoin and then you have Ethereum. Bitcoin to me is sort of leading the space. When Bitcoin comes down, everything else comes down. Ethereum has, unfortunately, it's a little bit of downward pressure on it just because of all the scams and all the shit tokens that came out last year. But people are getting smarter. It's getting harder to raise money in an ICO. People are a little bit more savvy, and I think what we're going to see is no matter what happens, Bitcoin is going to go up, and then it's going to come down. It's going to go up, but it'll continue to go up for some time because there's a huge disparity between Bitcoin and the gold market, for example. In the meantime, Ethereum will follow, and I think the downward pressure on Ethereum will be alleviated over time. And then you've got these coins. You've got a bunch of altcoins, so say 2,000 altcoins. And let's just talk about these 2,000 altcoins. I think most of them, as you know, are going to fail. Or I'm guessing this. Most of them are going to fail. But there's going to be some good ones that won't fail. And those ones that have legitimate ecosystems that are focusing on their customer, that are doing all the right things. I think what you're going to see happen is like the top 200, you're going to see or the top 2,000 even, or just saying all 2,000, you're going to see coins out of nowhere sort of work their way up through the process of elimination, because people are going to realize that there's some quality coins out there that have real markets, and then there's ones out there that sort of pump and dump schemes and things like that. I think that stuff is not going to last long. I think it's all going to disappear over time, and it's going to be harder and harder to kind of scam the system. And that's a good thing. That's what regulation brings. That's what smart ecosystems bring, smart people who are in the space, all of that stuff. I think it's going to change.
Feel free to drop a few names of coins you think have good promise. But also, like in terms of what type of time frame do you think it will be before we really start to see kind of that shake out and really sort of establish like, a lot of people kind of just become sort of cliche. People say, how do you know Bitcoin isn't MySpace, and there's going to be the next one that comes up and replaces it. What's the time frame that you anticipate being able to kind of like really see who's going to emerge in the crypto space?
We'll see it happen in 2018.
You think so?
Oh yeah, it's moving so fast, and I don't mean who is going to emerge. Let's just talk about the validation of Bitcoin. I think you'll start to see Bitcoin get validated in 2018 as a real thing. Crypto get validated, and then 2019, 2020, you're going to see the ecosystem clean up.
What'll be the signifiers?
The signifiers are the things that are going to happen that are sort of pivotal. Are you're going to see the utility tokens and a distinction with security tokens. Security tokens are definitely going to be a future, and they're going to have exchanges that are building security compliant exchanges that work with the SEC and things like that. And then people can create their own token, going through a arduous process, but a good process. This way you don't end up with shit like BitConnect and all these other like USI tech and things like that, these Ponzi schemes that come out of nowhere that prey on, poor people all over the world and people that are sort of less knowledgeable about the space. And so I think security tokens are definitely going to be part of the future. And as an ecosystem matures and people get smarter, they're just going to get smarter about what they buy.
Yeah.
And you will not have these big groups that do pump and dumps. Like if they're caught doing that, or they're seen doing it, people will find out who they are. They'll get marked, and they're gonna get prison time for that sort of stuff. So this all will happen over time. This is what regulation brings, and once again, I say we need to kind of embrace that and understand why it's there. It's there to protect consumers and not make our lives difficult. They just want to protect people. So.
Well, when you were announcing your pre-sale, I think in a video I saw, you were very, very clear, saying, Unicoin gold is not investment. It's not a security. And then I checked CoinMarketCap and saw, there clearly was a big spike in January of the price, lots of speculation. Maybe talk about a little bit about how it's important to have some stability for you guys so that it's a useful token, but also kind of like how you can impact that stability.
Sure. So first, let me talk about our business. In our business, we don't focus on the token price, much to what people think we do based on interviews and things like that. Like we're not looking at the token price every day. What we do is we focus on the usage of the token, the platform, our customer experience. We want to make sure that our customers are loving the product and that they're using the product. Exchanges like Bittrex or KuCoin or Binance or whoever as a means for customers to access the token and discover our company. And customers can then buy the token from them. We don't sell the token ourselves. We'll never sell the token ourselves. So the way our business works is the jackpot system and the skin stuff that I told you about, and the way people can earn the tokens by playing games on our platform. There's plenty of non-wagering experiences that people have with unicoins, and a whole bunch more coming that have nothing to do with gambling. Gambling side of our business, where UNIKRN builds this amazing sports book. We have betting products, and we can currently license that to really good betting operators around the world. Our vision for Unicoin was to do the same thing, but doing it with crypto. Environment that's like an esports friendly environment that esports customers know and love, and then using UNIKRN wallet as like a PayPal type system for other betting operators to integrate into their platform, and then be able to take our content, our applications, everything that surrounds the UNIKRN ecosystem and plug it into theirs, powered by UNIKRN, as long as they're using the token. The way the token economy works on the betting side is we keep a risk pool open, and that risk pool is governed in a way that against the house, and they win, the the risk pool gets smaller, right? And so over time, if people are winning a lot, the risk pool gets smaller and smaller. Or if people are losing, the risk pool gets larger. We continue to collect, our risk pool gets larger, and the public float gets smaller. And so what we care about is liquidity, so that our customers are able to access the token and get the token. So what we'll do is we've created these decentralized applications to release tokens to the market through things like earning them by playing games and connecting to our platform, by earning them in multiple ways. They can go, to events at casinos. There's going to be a lot of different things that people can do to earn the tokens. And that's how we get tokens back out into the market. We're not interested in like buying or selling the tokens. We're not interested in doing that. What we're interested in is liquidity and making sure that there's a healthy economy out there of tokens.
I want to make sure I ask you before we end this. You mentioned earlier, to the naysayers out there, they should just do some research, do some reading. How do you separate the signal from the noise? What resources do you go to kind of that you can trust and kind of follow what's going on?
Oh man, I am the type of person that believes in empathy and humility, are like the top two traits of any great leader. So when I listen to people talk, when I go to YouTube and watch these guys, and believe me, I watch all kinds of videos from the pumpers who are pumping about BitConnect to those who are sort of more level-headed and are trying to save people from getting burned. I watch all that stuff just because I want to see where these people are coming from, and I think that's important. But my go-to news source for any of this stuff is always CoinDesk. I really like, I like the diversity of their articles. I like the coverage that they do. I like how they're both bullish and cautious on the space. So CoinDesk is sort of my go-to daily, but this space is so new that we just need to discover more good people. We need to get some of the old school crypto, full decentralization. Let's go party on our Bitcoin, make them sort of the minority of the population, and bring on some good businesses, some good projects, good blockchain experts, and great entrepreneurs who are seasoned to come into the space.
If people want to find out more or get involved, what are the best places to go?
First of all, if anyone wants to get involved with UNIKRN, they should find me on Twitter at Rahul Sood. It's RAHULSOOD. And then if they want to learn more about UNIKRN, they should go to UNIKRN.com. And then we have unicoingold.com. Go there, learn about Unicoin Gold, learn how you can use it, check out the exchanges that we're available on, and help us get the word out. Lastly, we do have a community. People come to Telegram and they try and find us, and there's like 400 people there. We don't use Telegram. I like Telegram, but it's hard to monitor a community with tens of thousands of people. So we actually use Discord. So our community is community.unikrn.com. If you just go there and register, we'd love to see you on our community.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your success thus far, man, with UNIKRN, and it sounds like a really exciting 2018 for you. We'll keep tabs and hope this all works out. Thanks, Rahul.
Coloring Crypto is brought to you by Affordable Jerseys, home of the player trade guarantee. Check them out at affordablejerseys.com. For a full list of our sponsors, go to coloringcrypto.com/sponsors.